Cam is here. Few settings is total.
कंप्यूटर अवनीत नवनीत को भेजना उसको करना। पांडे सर आवाज सुन पा रहे हैं आप मेरी?
His backup is happening.
We'll do without. How do I call? He's also.
Okay, sir.
No, not necessarily. Like both are stopped. Both mic speaker should be on. That's it. Right now, I should be the presenter.
Okay.
But he should be able to listen my voice. हेलो पांडे साहब, आवाज आ रही है आपको मेरी? Can we see your audio test? Hello? Can you hear me, sir? म्यूट तो नहीं है, उन्होंने म्यूट करा।
द्वारा डायल किया गया नंबर अभी व्यस्त है, कृपया कुछ समय उपभोग करें। The number you have dialed is currently
We can also speak.
You can speak.
I think he is busy with some.
पांडे साहब, आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है? सर, आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है मेरे पास। फोन कंप्यूटर से कर रहे हैं, लैपटॉप से कर रहे हैं आप? नहीं, मेरे को इसमें कंप्यूटर में नहीं आ रही आपकी आवाज। हाँ, एक बार फिर से कर लो सिलेक्शन। हाँ हाँ, आप क्विट वेबिनार कर दो, आप कोई दिक्कत नहीं, वापस से ज्वाइन कर लें। प्रेम 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 कहाँ गया? तो भेजो ना। Prem, looks like your voice is not working in this.
Sir, no, sir. Like because they have connected. He is also not able to hear.
No, he is able to hear me, but your speakers are not working. एक बार मैं चेक करता हूं सर, मेरे कंप्यूटर में स्पीकर का मसला तो नहीं है। एक बार ये हटा दें, because the way it is showing is सर आप एक बार मैं और चेक करता हूँ। मेरी आ रही है आपको? एक मिनट होल्ड करो सर, मैं देखता हूं। अब आप बोलिए जरा।
हेलो अभी आ रही है?
नहीं आ रही?
अभी आ रही है?
नहीं सर, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
नहीं आ रही है?
आ रही है? हैं? अब आ रही है सर, एक मिनट। अब आ रही है सर? यू कैन हियर मी?
No, sir.
Hmm?
Maybe we can connect from
हेलो सर, बोलिए जरा।
his name, sir.
हाँ मनोज कुमार।
Actually, it is not connected.
सर बोलिए जरा, आपको आवाज आ रही है तो? पांडे सर, कैन यू स्पीक? हेलो पांडे सर, कैन यू स्पीक?
His hand is his hand is not.
पहले आ रहा था ना बीच में। Earlier you were listening his voice.
No, from this we were from.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है ना आपको, लेकिन आपकी आवाज मेरे पास नहीं आ पा रही है। आपका ऑडियो म्यूट नहीं है मेरी तरफ से। अभी मैंने किया था, अभी मैं अनम्यूट किया है। नाउ यू आर अनम्यूट। आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर आपकी। किसी और को आवाज आ रही है या नहीं आ रही है? एक मिनट में देखता हूं। आपकी टीम में कोई प्रॉब्लम है? He is able to speak. हेलो। हाँ ठीक। रोहित, तुम्हें आवाज आ रही है मेरी? क्यों नहीं रहा? वो कहाँ गया? वेयर इज फ्रेम? हेलो। हाँ 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 हाँ, ठीक ठीक ठीक। हेलो, आ रही है? My voice is coming. His voice
His voice.
not coming.
Exactly.
Huh?
Exactly connected. Your voice is
Audible. Now, have we attendees started or what?
Yes, sir.
Now he's saying Kartikeya will attend, but I'm not able to see Kartikeya here. Ah, okay. Make panelist, na?
Panelist. Yeah.
Let me check Kartikeya. Hello, Kartikeya.
The person you have called is speaking to someone.
Hello. Kartikeya, मैंने आपको पैनलिस्ट बनाया है, तो you can speak. Can you just speak on your voice? I am not able to see your voice. आपका मेरे को माइक्रोफोन ही नहीं दिख रहा, उसमें ऑन नहीं है आपका माइक्रोफोन। ठीक ठीक ठीक। Really? Have you put on recording?
Yes, sir.
Recording? Sure.
So yes.
I think it has the automatic system. Hello. Hello.
Am I audible? Hello?
Karthikeya, you are audible. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Yeah, just
Yeah, Karthikeya, now you can mute yourself. I'll just start the webinar.
okay, sir.
Good afternoon, friends. This is Sanjay Vasisht, your host for today's webinar. This webinar series is specially conceived on energy storage systems, which are considered as technology for future. With me, we have a co-host from StatCon. So Mr. Manoj Pandey was to join, but on his behalf, Mr. Karthikeya Mishra from StatCon will be speaking. This webinar series we have considered on energy storage, and this is the first webinar in which we are talking more about energy storage system and how to integrate energy storage systems with your diesel generator as well as the battery bank. So solar PV, DG and battery bank, how to integrate them in different type of applications is the major focus, which will be taken care by Mr. Karthikeya during the second session of the presentation. I will be taking you through the market potential and the market overview for energy storage technologies, the different technology types. But before we proceed to the webinar, a brief introduction about First Green. We are a leading consulting firm working in the area of energy and sustainability. We have done over 500 megawatt of solar projects in India as well as in abroad. We operate from Gurgaon, but we have operations in Jammu, Assam, Hyderabad and Jaipur apart from Gurgaon. And we have our international operations in Kenya as well, wherein we have a lot of focus on energy storage systems, and we are executing some of the finest projects in Kenya as well on these technologies. So hopefully in subsequent webinars, you will find some more case studies about energy storage systems and how to design a mini grid using Homer and a couple of other technologies. I will not spend much time on our credential part. Rather, I would like to jump directly to the agenda of the webinar. So as I say that in the first session, we will discuss more about the energy storage market and what type of opportunities are there, what is the market size as of date, and in next 10 years, where we are going to lead. Friends, we have seen the market 10 years back for solar PV, and we have seen the price reduction in solar PV. I believe energy storage technology is also going to see a similar trend, and we can expect a significant price drop in energy storage technology, and this will change the market dynamics. We have got our co-presenter, Mr. Karthikeya from StatCon. StatCon they will introduce, but just to give you some idea about StatCon, they are one of the leading manufacturer of various type of energy storage and hybrid systems. They have expertise in executing some of the finest industrial scale energy storage systems in India. So they will be talking more about the applications of energy storage in different different market segments, ranging from residential to the commercial, industrial, as well as grid level energy storage systems with the help of some of their case studies. So when we talk about the energy storage technology, there are many technologies which are in market. However, the technologies which are there in market can be like pumped hydro, which is the oldest energy storage technology, wherein the power plant, if it is having surplus energy, we are pumping back the water to the system, and we are doing that. We have got lithium-ion technologies. Then we have got liquid metal-based technologies. We have got flow batteries. We have got nickel-based batteries, as well as we have got hydrogen energy storage technologies. So there are many. We are not discussing these technologies, but of course, these days the technology which is in great demand is the technology related to the energy storage on lithium-ion technology. So we will cover a lot about lithium-ion technologies. When we talk about the application of the storage systems, the applications in the electricity system starts right at the power plant level itself, wherein the energy storage system is used as a balancing reserve in the power plant itself, which takes care of the fluctuations in the frequency and voltages, and the cyclic fluctuations can be absorbed at the power plant level itself. So we start at that point itself. The next level of energy storage comes in the transmission or distribution system. So generally you will find a lot of energy storage application in future on the grid substations, where energy storage system will take care of the voltage regulation related issues in a particular distribution zone. If we install the system at the substation level, then it will have the reliable power supply not only to its consumers, but it will also reduce the voltage drops in the line. So that is another domain. So these two things are classified as grid level energy storage technologies. Then coming to the next level, which is known as behind the meter technology. So in that we have got the commercial buildings as well as mini grids, which are the large scale, industrial scale energy storage technologies. And then we have got the residential systems, where individual household want to install a battery bank to meet their power demand during the blackouts, as well as to store surplus energy if they are not injecting back to the grid. We have seen like many states have withdrawn the net metering facility to commercial and industrial customers. So this also gives a way that if we want to take solar to the next level, then energy storage is the only way. So if you are not able to use the grid as storage for your surplus electricity from your PV power plant, then the surplus electricity can go back to the batteries, and you recover almost 90-95% of that energy, and that is going to become one more application. Your electric vehicles are also coming in the market, and with the residential system, EV technologies will also help as one of the energy storage medium. And this is going to be the game changer, because an individual car, when it is put for charging, can put a load of almost 50 to 60 kilowatt on your electricity system. So there is a requirement to develop better codes and standards when these electric vehicle segments also come into picture. Just to give you some idea what is the market size. So currently this data is from a study done by IRENA, that is International Renewable Energy Association, and The present market segment is hardly 8 to 9 gigawatt hour per year, which is going to increase, and they have got two scenarios, which is low and high scenario. In the low scenario, they expect this market to grow in the range of 100 to 170 GWH. In the high scenario, you can expect the growth up to 400 GWH of annual. That means the market is going to increase significantly over next 10 years. This poses annual growth of some 60 to 70% annual growth. Just to give you these numbers, the PV market is also having a similar growth trend in last 10 years, and we can expect a similar growth trend. And that is the reason this technology is of future. So if you look at these segments, we have got two major segments which are providing you the equal growth opportunities. So the first segment is the rooftop PV segment, and the another segment is the utility scale batteries. As I said, the residential PV segment for energy storage is also a big market, which is approximately 50%. And yet another 50% will be utility scale, where we are putting the energy storage system at the substations. We will be putting energy storage system at the power plant level. We will put energy storage system at the mini grid level, and we will have energy storage in the commercial and industrial sector as well. So almost 50-50. There is a small about 9% capacity, which is a PV retrofit market. So this is also going to emerge. Currently, this market doesn't exist. But as I was discussing with you, that in future the net metering benefits, the kind of situation our DISCOMs are having. So don't rely too much on the net metering benefit. We have to have storage of our own rather than grid acting as a storage. So if you have your own storage, if you have got your own power plant, you may like to add energy storage system with that. So that market is going to emerge, and this also will have almost 10% of the total market size in future. So a very big opportunity coming up. Solar we have seen, and solar has become highly cutthroat competitive, and when we entered, there were reasonable margins, and now this is the time to enter into the energy storage segment. So I welcome you to energy storage segment. We will discuss about these technologies, how energy storage can be applied to the residential sector as well as to the utility scale sector, what kind of batteries, how they are connected, and what are the issues in the system. Now, if you look at different technologies, so the technologies are like, of course, we are aware about the lithium-ion technology. Within lithium-ion also there are subcategories like lithium phosphate and so many other lithium polymer and so many other technologies. Similarly, there are flow batteries which are known as redox batteries. Our traditional batteries are also there, which are like lead acid batteries, which are like flooded and VRLA battery. They are still having a good market segment as of date. Lithium ion doesn't carry that kind of segment as of date, but of course in future it will increase. There is yet another segment which is known as high temperature, or you may have heard about the liquid metal batteries. Okay, so 4 categories: lead acid, high temperature, lithium ion, and flow batteries. These are the 4 segments. Now coming at the price trend, if you see, the price for lithium ion battery is still higher, and the cheapest battery in the market is still the lead acid battery. There are issues with the lead acid in terms of its maintenance, reliability, and the life and number of cycles it will operate, and those things. The cost of energy storage system is measured in terms of dollar per kWh. So currently, if you look at the market segment, we have the market in the range of something like $400 per kWh as market. And this is going to come down significantly. I believe that in next 2-3 years we can even reach to less than $200 per kWh market. Of course, the market of lead acid is below $100 per kWh, and we believe that lithium ion will also be competing with the lead acid battery segment in near future. And once it is there, then there will be large level of penetration in the Indian market. So coming to the kind of benefits we have. So this is one study done in which it is analyzed that how much is the cost per kilowatt of installation of the complete system. Like in case of solar, we have got some $700 to $800 per kilowatt as installation cost. Similarly, in case of energy storage system, the complete installation cost is ranging about $2,000 plus kilowatt. Okay, so that is the cost. Okay, and if we adopt this type of system, then the recovery of this cost is quite favorable if it is a off-grid applications like a mini grid 100 200 kilowatt system. You can get the return in 1 to 2 years only. If you are running the system is running fully on diesel, then you can see the lithium ion system, the investment is about $2,062 per kilowatt, and the returns in a year is, in terms of the fuel saving, is about 2 to 3. That is means more than what you did spend. So almost the payback period is less than a year if it is the case of a remote system which is fully operating on diesel. So that is the most lucrative market, and you will see that there are a lot of places in India as well as in Africa. Africa, there are a lot where the grid penetration is not there, and the electricity is supplied by decentralized diesel generators. And if solar with energy storage is connected, you will get power from them in a reliable fashion, and the payback period is less than a year. So that's the advantage. So it's a big market. The price trend of these technologies, there are forecasts available. As I said, that we are very soon reaching to something like $200 per kWh, and we will reach this figure much earlier than what it is forecasted in previous, because these studies are done 2 years back. So the recent estimates are that we have already reached to some $250 per kWh as energy storage market, and hopefully once we are about 150 to 200 range, then we will have a good opportunity to get into this market. So the details about the technology will be taken by my friend Karthikeya, but just the closing remark, there is a limited experience in Indian market about the energy storage technologies, and we are currently in the phase when pilot projects are being undertaken in various states. You may have seen there was a tender recently in Leh and Ladakh for energy storage system at grid level. There are many clients who are installing energy storage systems on their cold storages. A lot of examples you will receive from Mr. Karthikeya, but still there is a need that these technologies we become familiar. So don't think that the market will be leading only on lithium ion. There are many competing technologies, and we cannot ride only on one horse. So there will be competing technologies. In fact, the solar hydrogen is also yet another prominent area for large scale energy storage. When you generate PV and pass it into water and produce hydrogen and oxygen, and use fuel cell and produce electricity again as a stored hydrogen. This market is still less competitive. So if the market is less competitive, it means there are scope of margins, and this is the time to get entry because there's less competition. And there are large applications available as storage, stationary storage market. Of course, lithium-ion batteries are very good application for e-mobility. However, the stationary applications are also becoming quite familiar. Telecom sector has already started adopting it in a large way, so we cannot even ignore the use of the energy storage into telecom sector as well. So we have got your chat box, and please keep posting your questions. End of the webinar, we will be able to take up the questions. This slide will be, these slides will be available to you. And now I would invite our co-presenter, Mr. Karthikeya. So Karthikeya, can you hear me?
So am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Just a second. Is my screen visible?
Karthikeya, your screen is visible.
Okay. So hello everyone, Karthikeya this side from StartCon Energia, and our MD Mr. Manoj Pandey was to take this session, but somehow because of some glitches on his end in internet on his laptop, he is not able to present this, and I'll be presenting this session on integrating energy storage with PV and DG set. So Sanjay sir, I'll go ahead. I'll just checking my voice once again. Is it audible? I hope so.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
This is
So
perfect.
so Sanjay sir has already talked about the commercial angle and the the market size that is there. So we'll now talk more about the technology. We being a technology company, we'll talk more about the technology and what are the options available, the permutations available in terms of technology in this energy storage segment. We all know solar, it's a known thing, but the only point we want to underline it here is that it is just not about generating electricity from sun. It has lot to do a lot more about integrating it with other sources, blending it, and making it a 24/7 option for all of us. So just to start with, Statco Energia is a power electronics 30 years young power electronics company. We are working in 5 segments: power, defense, telecom, railways, and solar. And we are an MNRE approved channel partner, although it has lost its relevance now. We have an in-house R&D, and we are into products as well as projects. So talking of projects, we are generally involved more in storage based projects. We have cumulative capacity installed of more than 21 megawatt capacity, largest being 650 kilowatt, although this one is a grid tied. We have done more than 600 petrol pumps and installed several such storage based projects across India. So since this segment is all about storage, so what is the need of storage? We would like to start with that. So we all know that solar generates power, but to make it 24/7 available for the user, it requires to be blended with various other sources. Since we all know that today there are so many people who have installed solar, and they are no more just consumers. So there's a new term coined known as prosumers. That means they are producers as well as consumers. So for their peak demands and various other requirements, these storages based projects are important. Talking of discoms, which are really bleeding nowadays, and we all, if you have not heard this term, we should really Google this: utility death spiral. Utility the death spiral is basically is leading to these discoms being really sick, because solar generates at 10 to 4, whereas the peak requirement of electricity is either in the evening or in the morning time, and that is when discoms need help. But instead of being a helping hand to them, solar generations is just being a competitor to them, leading to these discoms being really sick. So the biggest next after PV, the biggest friend of solar installations is DG, we all know. So this is one of the most reliable distributed energy provider on SOS basis. Whenever we want to wherever there is a deficit of solar, immediately a DG set is started. When grid is absent, we immediately start it. So it is there, but what is the way forward? The way forward is a flexible electrical energy, where we can use it the way we want and use it when we want. And for this, the biggest requirement is of power converters. It cannot be, it has to be a technology product which can really help you whatever comes to our mind, that we want energy at this moment of time and this way and using this resource. It should be made possible through the power converters, and it should be in harmony with of course, it has to be in harmony with grid, because we cannot just isolate the grid from these solutions. With grid in urban areas, with DG set and grid in semi-urban areas, and of course in the rural and islands, it has to be with the DG sets only. Talking of the applications where whatever technology we'll talk about in the later presentations will be applicable to all such areas. Residential segment is of course there. All the independent houses, villa, courties, private and government, township, hospitals, for that matter, all fringe and residential colonies, and all the MSME with 15 kilowatt to 200 kilowatt projects, 15 to 200 kilowatt connections, urban, semi-urban shopping complexes, gyms, banks, ATMs. Cold storage is one of the biggest application which we have found to be have a very typical problem, where and the storage has the real solution for that. With EV infrastructure, new EV infrastructure coming up, there is going to be a huge shortage of the peak power supply, and for this again storage is the real solution. We all have heard of new tenders coming up in Delhi from discoms and from organizations like TERI, where grid balancing and for ancillary services storage is required. Solar pump, everyone talks of solar pump, but it is one of the worst underutilized. We put solar, we draw water just to justify solar. So again, there an element of storage can do wonders. There are so many disasters. Recently there was one in Odisha. So in those situations, when we hear that batteries are being charged at 1500 rupees per charge, so there such storage solutions, small storage solutions can be of quite a lot of help. In defense, where power is again a need and a lot of opportunities are coming up. So to take it forward, we'll just classify the solutions in off-grid, grid-tied, and hybrid. Although most of us know of these things, but just to take this discussion to the next level, we'll present the off-grid inverters. Off-grid inverters, we all know it is just not that it is not no grid usage at all. There is solar, there is battery, there is grid, and there is a dedicated connected load. And when solar is there, it charges the battery and caters to the load. Grid is just there. And the problem with this solution, off-grid solution, is that oh yes, it is really it is the electrical construction is really easy, simple construction, and it's a low-cost model where a lot of options are available in the market. But it definitely suffers from pure PV yield. There are conditions when solar is excess, batteries are charged, and there is no load. In that case, we end up wasting a lot of solar power, and that is a not a very good condition. Secondly, it suffers, it reduces your battery life. Many times when PV is less and your loads are more, in that situation, you end up discharging your battery in spite of the fact that grid is available. So you are discharging your cycle even when this reduces. All those 5-year warranty claims come down by the second year, our batteries life is poor. So to conclude, off-grid, it does not give a good yield, and we are always in a dilemma whether to discharge the batteries or when to use solar. So it is not a very good way of utilizing solar. Second is the easiest way of doing solar, and that's the 90% market today, that everyone is using a grid-tied inverter. Here there is a beautiful looking outdoor type inverter, and solar power through Y inverter caters to the loads, and whatever is the deficit comes from the grid. In case there is excess power from the PV modules, it can be exported via net meter, and of course the loads are running on the solar power. A very important element to be highlighted here is some of the recent news items that we all have heard of. Andhra Discom said that no to net metering, and now grass metering to be endorsed. UP state of Uttar Pradesh, we all know, has said no to net metering, and now above 10 kilowatt it is all gross metering. Maharashtra, very recently, everyone was crying that why net metering has been done away with, and we are all blaming Discom and government for not letting us do business. But the reality is that can we really survive? Can we really install solar without taking Discoms hand in hand? On the right side, you can see that there are two separate concepts. One is net metering and one is gross metering. We all know about it, but still to just explain it, net metering is where there is a single meter. Whatever we export in terms of power, in terms of units, we get benefited when we are drawing power from the grid, and we pay for only the delta amount. And whereas in the gross metering, there are two separate. So net metering is what we really all like and we are used to till now. But gross metering is the one where there are two separate meters. We export power through a separate meter at maybe half a rupee or maybe 0.75 rupees per unit. Whereas we draw power at, say, 7 rupees, 8 rupees or more, whatever the rates applicable in our territories. So here gross metering is what the Discoms are really liking, because here they don't, their customers are not just relying on solar, they depend on them also. So this is the next slide, where of course, in spite of having invested so much on solar, if the grid goes, we are in a blackout. We don't have any light, in spite of the fact that we have invested so much on solar. So this is a very, very condition which all the salespersons of grid tied projects try to hide, but this is the reality. And what we end up with is again starting our dear friend DGset, which turns on, then the string inverter again synchronizes and starts generating. Of course, we are not to mention the problems of DGset, that DGset cannot be loaded less than 30%. So these are some of the interesting aspects of DGset, which we like to talk about, because DGset below 30%, we all know that it should not be run. There are problems like slobber, wet stacking in the engine's exhaust of DG sets, which leads to its deterioration in the condition and results in lower life of DG set. Then, of course, there are many bonus losses which many of us don't even think of, that every DG set requires a 3-minute free run before it is switched on to load, and before the load is taken, and after the load has been taken off. So these 3 minutes, and in territories like Noida, Gurgaon, where there are multiple power cuts of 10-15 minutes, this becomes a big problem, and this is never reflected in a ROI sheet that we present before the customer. Again, the DG set, when we are running our solar installations with DG sets, we forget that DG set average is a problem. Most of the times, just to justify the whole system, we are running DG at 40%, 50%, or we curtail the PV power. So this is not a very good situation. We just to justify the system, we are running it under such scenarios. This is a slide just to explain how same in how just to draw the same amount of electricity, we end up paying 15% more fuel if we are using a bigger DG set. So last but not the least, if the grid the solar is not there, then we use the grid supply, and if that is also not there, then we use the DG set. So this was about hybrid grid-tied inverters. It is compact, lightweight, energy efficient, and of course low cost. But the problem is that in areas of poor grid, which is of course in most of the Indian rural, if you talk about, this is prevalent, or there are problems like phase failing or grid voltage below 170 or 180, these string inverters don't work, and we again resort to DG sets. And if they are working with DG set, again DG set life is reduced because of the problem that we talked about, 30% base loading, free run required for the DG set, which we never even think of. This is definitely not a very DISCOM friendly solution, because DISCOMs are hurt when we are only pumping power from 4 to 10 and availing benefits of net metering. So that globally the trend is moving towards cross metering, where string inverters will slowly fade away, as is happening in the European markets as well, where storage, in spite of 99.99% availability of grid supply, lot many storage products, so many ESS energy storage solutions are prevalent. The solutions are available globally, worldwide, be it US, be it Australia, or be it Europe. So the next after off-grid and grid-tied solution is of course the hybrid solution. So hybrid in terms of topology looks very similar to off-grid. There is a solar connection, batteries are connected, grid or DG set can be connected, and there is a dedicated load, what we have defined as AC load priority. And of course there is some load which is not segregated on the inverter directly. So first condition is where solar is coming, it is charging the batteries, whereas loads are being met by the grid supply, both the dedicated and the non-dedicated loads. Once the batteries have been charged, whatever solar excess power was available is being used at the priority loads. So if you see the priority loads, they're both yellow and blue arrows, although electricity doesn't have a color, but just to differentiate between the grid and the PV energy. So this is one condition which was not there in off-grid. So off-grid was having suffering from the problem of, if solar was poor, then battery was being discharged. So this is one problem. Once the battery is charged, the priority loads are also less. Then the no priority loads can also use the solar power. So we are exporting the power for the captive consumption. This is a very important condition. And if that is also not the case, we have still excess power, we can export it back into the grid if the net metering has been installed. In case your grid is not available, then we can work in standalone mode. Both solar and battery are catering to the loads, and we have isolated from the grid. So in the last condition, it was solar charging the batteries and meeting the loads. Here it is both solar and batteries meeting the loads. This is a very interesting scenario where if you see that solar is there, battery is also there, and the DG set is there. So if you want to run certain load using a limited DG size, suppose your loads are at some instant you have a 50 kVA of load running, your DG capable is only 30 kVA or 25 kVA. The remaining power can be shared by PV as well as battery. Even if solar is not there, battery can take that burden. So this is a very important condition where you can reduce the DG size being used. Here we are talking about DG export control command. So all the applications like peak load shaving in all the medium level plants, growing factories where today they have a certain size of load and then their load increases, or for some instance they have a peak load. So they end up paying penalty on the entire bill, which should not be the case if a hybrid inverter is installed. The battery or the solar can take that burden. Battery can be momentarily discharged to load so that your load doesn't go beyond the sanctioned load. Of course, then if you can, in weak grid areas where you only want to draw limited power from the grid, or you want in applications of TOD where there is variable tariff, you want to draw power from the grid only in certain instants of the day, that is also possible. You can charge batteries from grid when the grid power is cheap. So those possibilities are there. Last but not the least, this is just charging batteries and making the loads. And in the nighttime standalone, when the loads are less, your batteries can be discharged to the loads in standalone mode. Once the power resumes, you are again using the solar power to meet the loads, both the priority and the non-priority. So talking of concluding the hybrid inverters, it addresses problems of both off-grid as well as hybrid. Off-grid poor PV yield and frequent discharge of the battery has been taken care of, because whenever there is a power deficit, now grid comes into the picture, and absolutely no interruptions like grid tied system. So all those irritations, like you have a meeting going on and suddenly there is a power cut, and in spite of having installed solar, you cannot use that thing. So here there are no such interruptions. This is definitely DISCOM friendly. You can flatten the solar curve, export power, or use the solar power. If you have excess, rather than exporting, you can use it in the evening time. This is definitely futuristic for applications like smart grids, microgrids, and C&I applications. So now we'll just talk about some different configurations of PV with DG and storage. So this is a typical scheme with solar being installed with batteries as well as DG set, and this is a backup application. This is a grid tie system that we all know. This is a very typical scheme where we call it DC-AC system, where required energy can be availed from both solar as well as the batteries. So they together can export the power into the grid. So the top slide, mode 1, shows this. Mode 2 is where both energy storage and the PV energy are meeting the loads and exporting to the grid. And then the third mode is where you can, when you have when you have excess energy, you can charge your batteries and you can use the PV power. And fourth mode is the standalone mode, where only the batteries are catering to the loads, and if required, the power can also be exported to the grid. This is grid tied with storage, hybrid typical scheme. Then this is a PV DG hybrid scheme where okay, this is we have taken this slide from Fronius. So this is a PV DG system where whatever is not available from PV can be drawn from DG side, and it has some problems like DG is not running at 30% load, or even if it is running, then we curtail the PV, which is really a sheer wastage of PV power. Then this is a very typical scheme where it can be used for with DG sets. There can be one or multiple DG sets. This is more of a mini grid, in Africa and these areas. It can be used where there are multiple DG sets along with the grid supply optional, with solar inverters as well as storage. So on the left, you can see top, there is only one DG set working along with PV. So once the load rises, then there are multiple generators being turned on one after the other. And of course, storage is there to support battery. When the load is less, battery can be charged, and when there is excess requirement, battery power can be used. Next, moving to the microgrid. So this is a very important segment coming up. You must have heard of news items. Very big, many big groups are setting up microgrids in India. Even Tata has plans to set up 10,000 microgrids in India. So this is a typical solution. Rural microgrid can be defined, or microgrid and mini grid can be defined as multiple sources blended together to provide electricity at some fixed durations, maybe 24/7, or some in rural areas, some fixed durations of evening and the morning to meet their needs. So this is here, the solution is that on the left side, you can see there are multiple MPPT charges. So you can add to the microgrid as it grows, as the village grows, as the community grows. There is a DG set, of course, and there is a community load. And if grid may be there at this moment of time, or it may be added on in some future, 2 to 3 years when the grid goes there. So no need to run an isolated mini grid or microgrid. You can integrate it with the main grid once the grid is available. So instead of solar only, we can also opt for biodiesel along with solar. There can be biodiesel with micro hydro in areas where there are streams and there is good waterhead. Micro grids, hydro solution with biodiesel and solar can be used. Such solutions are more of modular redundant solutions with open door housing where no rooms and those things. The biggest problem with many people say that in hybrid solutions we have to erect a room. So now solutions are available where they are open door solutions, no need of erecting a room. These are some dashboards for some such solutions where there is PV, battery, DG sets, and various other sources. Talking of some very important element is in, because the agenda also mentions the challenges that we face, and the real challenge that we face in energy storage is the calculation and really understanding the intricacies. Like this is just one typical example where we many times we run DG sets to store energy into the batteries and then discharge it in the night time, which is simply a crime because we are unnecessarily increasing the conversion efficiencies. We are converting AC supply to store in the batteries, which has its own water efficiencies, and then discharge in the night time through inverter, again having its efficiency. These are just some sample calculations. I think I'll just, since time is limited, so it is tell you the gist is that if you are feeding having 10 units of energy, and if we are storing it and then discharging it to the loads, we end up having only 5.94 units, and which is a wastage of more than 4 units or more than 40% of energy. And if we are doing it through a partial loaded DG set, then there is another loss of 15%. Talking of the batteries, yes, Sanjay sir had mentioned it correctly that lithium is not the only technology today. There are many more technologies available. Lead acid being the most loved one, and still maybe the most prevalent one because it has several advantages which no one else can match. So it's the most popular low-cost battery. One of the biggest challenges is that charging is limited to 15% of its capacity. It suffers from problems of PSOC. So in case of your battery is not taken care of very well, then you are really compromising, and best of luck for such installations because all claims of 5 years will not even, they will fall flat, and the battery, you may end up replacing batteries even after the second year. So it has limited life, so you have to discharge your batteries very judiciously. You cannot go for off-grid systems. DODs you can opt for are maximum 50%. Water efficiency is very poor. If you, for some of the listeners, water efficiency is that if you are giving a battery 10 units, you can only take out 8 units. So this is water efficiency. And you have to use some not very known solutions like 6-cell charger, which are very important, by the way. Lithium-ion technologies, as we are moving forward, is a new solution, and it has a very good, it is very much suitable for frequent charge discharge application, because the charging graph looks lesser complex, by the way. It has very good water efficiency, 93%. You can go up to 85% of DODs. So it has the feature of dash charging. You can really quickly store your energy if there is a sudden burst of excess energy. Yeah, last point is very important. You need to be very, very careful with the designing and the power electronics that you take along with lithium-ion batteries. And the reason behind this is that the lithium-ion battery is very sensitive, and due to the safety concerns, you have to communicate with the lithium battery, and the charging and discharging, that is PCU in solar cases, should understand the requirements of the BMS, and hence communication is very important. NiCad battery, not very much used in solar somehow, but it is very popular in nuclear and large power stations. Characteristics are more or less similar to lead acid, but better water efficiencies, better cycle, but yes, very, very costly. So this is a typical battery charging curve. So I think I'll just run through this, because this shows the CC/CV charging we all know, but if you really look at the graph, there are many more conditions which we have to check before when we are designing a charger, because you have to keep it at certain, then go to a certain voltage, come back to a certain voltage, which is quite complex. So hence, if you are having a lead acid system, it requires this profile to be followed. Okay, somehow my presentation, okay, sorry. So yeah, this is the curve. CC, here the current is falling once the constant voltage is up, so the currents are falling. Yeah, so this is a lithium curve where it looks much more simpler. The voltage is achieved pretty fast, but SOC is not achieved. It has to continue for CC charging for quite a long time, and in the end you can see the current falling. The biggest challenge of lithium ion charging is that last 15% charge, which has to be retrieved by the battery, is really challenging, and all the cells go wayward, and especially in higher voltage systems. 48 volt, everyone talks of 48 volt, but few people talk about higher voltages in lithium ion. That's the main reason. So this is the discharging on the left side curve of lithium, and right is the paralleling. If you are having a big bank of lithium and you're paralleling multiple lithium banks, then you face a real challenge, because there is a lot of unbalancing that has been shown here. Yes, the ancillary, a lot of new applications coming up in solar, and this is in energy storage rather, not solar basically. So these are for applications like load leveling, peak load shaving, TOD, energy shift, frequency regulation, reactive power control, and we are now hearing about a lot of tenders in at least Delhi Descom, BRPL and BSES have come up with such tenders, and we are expecting many from more. So talking of the commercial and industrial segment, how storage can be integrated in these, I'll just instead of talking about technology, I'll just run through them. And here we have, like, this is an island solution where there is no grid at all. This is highest bottling plant, LPG. This is the bottling plant of IOCL in Leh, where there is no grid. They used to run only DG sets to meet their loads of 125 kilowatt or 120 kilowatt of average load. So they initially installed a 100 kilowatt system, and they found that their DG running was reduced to 70%, by 70%, that only 30% of DG running was there. So increased their PV capacity to 200 kilowatt, and now they are using DG set only when there is some storm, or when there is some problem, when system is, or when solar generation is not at all there. So there's a typical example of how, if well designed, your DG set, such isolated sites can also work on solar. And when there is no grid and no DG, so it is just a standalone system. DG is only running in very selective times. This is a publication house where the customer threw a challenge at us, where he said that once solar is installed, I'm going to remove my connection. This is in the heart of Patna, Lucent publication. So there, a 60 kilowatt solar was installed with a 100 kV inverter, and 240 volt 1000 Ah storage was installed. And this has been working for the last 7 years, just to underline the fact that if well designed, batteries, lead acid batteries, can last for around 7 years, and they are still working. Now the customer has said that he wants some additional solar, so we have done an AC coupling where no need of grid. A string inverter is talking to the hybrid inverter, and it is working. Cold storage is a very typical application where this one is a Jaswantnagar cold storage, potato cold storage, where for 3 months of the year it is all DG set. Just to avoid interruption, they continuously run their DG set, and we have installed a storage-based hybrid solution with a 30 to 45 minutes backup, which is more with solar, of course. And they had 2 DG sets. Their biggest DG set consumption is completely done away with, and the biggest achievement there is that in cold storage there is ammonia which falls, which whenever there is an interruption, they run their DG set, it again falls and increases the DG set running by 15 to 20 minutes. So that has been done away with because there is a storage now, so that interruptions are not there. You can see the graphs also. For this project, we have even been awarded, not awarded exactly, we were the finalist in Intersolar Munich, top 10 finalists. We could not win it. So this is a typical urban application where customer was looking for a grid-tied system, but when he defined his problems like loss of production due to interruptions, failure of their CNC cards and CNC machines, so we just suggested a hybrid system. And the loads here are peak loads, like plating is there and other industrial grade machines are running. So this is, and it is running 24/7 on this solar plant. It's a 24/7 operation, and now the DG set size is also reduced. It's a 200 kilowatt size plant with a battery capacity of 360 volt 700 Ah. Petrol pumps is a completely different kind of challenge. Surge loads and weak grid areas, challenges of when to use DG, not to use DG. So we have done some 600 petrol pumps, and all of them have different kind of problems. So there are a lot of learnings from the petrol pump. Savir Biotech is a very typical client which had a certain fixed 50 a certain sanctioned load, and suddenly due to growth and everything, their plants, the load size increased, and they came up with the problem that we don't want to increase our sanctioned load. We just want to use a solar, and they installed a solar plant, 60 kilowatt with a solar with a 100 kV inverter, and this is a peak load shaving application. Whenever their load goes beyond the sanctioned load, we discharge the batteries to and not let the consumption from the grid go beyond the sanctioned load. So this is again similar application. Talking of urban microgrids, this is a new thing coming up where each house is a node, each house has its own plant, and it can sell electricity and consume by electricity. So the next house may be having excess of it because of it having its storage, so you can buy. So this is, now we are all talking of IoT based platforms, to Power Ledger is doing it in UP. So these kind of new applications are coming up. This is a village in Japan done by Panasonic called Panahome. It is a very similar application, and EV infra, with EV infra coming in, it will just add to it. Talking of EV infra, everyone is talking of setting up EV charging stations and these, but where will the connection come from? Where will the electricity come from? So, and they will not be running at full load at all the time. So there again, storage based, lithium based storage solutions are the solution to it. Last thing, coming to the last segment, that is residential ESS. This is a very big market, and globally, if you talk about their products like Tesla Powerwall, we have all heard of, Sonnen batteries, Samsung, Panasonic, of course ours is there, Mercedes, Siemens, and ABB recently launched their product energy storage solutions for the residential segment. And sorry, I think I have click something. Yeah, so this is our energy storage product where a typical house has load of less than 5 kVA. So this machine can run your air conditioners, which is a very typical requirement nowadays, that we don't want to be just having fan. We don't want to compromise once grid is not there or at any time. So this is an energy storage system having PV connectivity. If you want to use it with solar, you can do it. It has lithium batteries inbuilt. It is a stackable solution where you can increase the capacity. As you can see, the bottom shelves are the batteries. You can increase it without increasing the footprint. So you are getting a battery life cycle of 1500 to 2000 even in the Indian conditions. You have a very high discharging rate for loads like air conditioner or even mixie and other loads, and a very dash charging for secluded applications where the grid availability is for 2 hours. So you would like to fill your bucket with energy and use it later on. So in the end, just to underline our mode of operation, we like to be the back, sit at the back, provide the technology to all your imagination, all your ideas, and be the solution provider in the field of energy segment. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening patiently to me. Over to you, Sanjay sir.
Thank you, Karthik. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me just see if we have got some questions from the participants. If you have any question, you can put in the chat box or you can raise your hand. We can be available for another 5 minutes to take few questions. But it was a really wonderful presentation. Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you, sir.
By the time we receive some questions from the participants, I may like to, have some questions from you. The residential segment where you showed a couple of things like Powerwall and all. This market is going to be a big market while net metering is being withdrawn and people want their own power backup and the reliability solutions. So how big you feel like this market is going to be in India and abroad?
So, sir, we have been looking at this market since 2016 when Powerwall was launched in India. So,
Okay.
the way forward was very, very slow till 2019, I would say. But last 1 year, there has been a lot of activity because of this lithium ion innovation that is going on and the presence of lithium ion players in India, and people being more aware about it. So looking at it, we had done we feel that it's a market of anywhere between 1500 to 2000 crore. That is what we see. And yes, a few battery players have to come forward. There are challenges which have to be taken care of. Safety is one of the biggest one, so that have to be taken care of. But yes, the market is in this range and this covers areas like residential, small shops, dental clinics, beauty parlors, and these areas, all the kothis which are there in semi-urban and urban areas. So they can be very good customers for all such solutions.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, the similar trend we can expect for the commercial consumers also. But do you believe, so you were talking like a solar PV, DG, and energy storage integration, but in a commercial building, you don't have too much of space for solar. So do you believe that the solar, forget about the solar part, but the energy storage, can it really replace the diesel generator in a commercial building?
So of course, sir, see, for like if you talk of Delhi, there is a 3-month gray period when DG sets are just not allowed, and we were talking to some DG players where they said and they felt that their solution, DG set is the solution they propose to everyone. There is no solar, there is all smoke and everything, all non ill elements, but still it is such a hot selling like hotcakes. So moving forward, they also feel that there is a space for green DG sets. There, of course, a blend of solar or other renewable sources can be there, but without that, also energy storage solutions can be the solution to them. Yes, cost is an element, but yes, as we are moving forward, and the prices of batteries are coming down, that they can be the right way. That can be the right way.
Great. Great. I think we may be receiving some questions later on. So once we receive the questions, we can respond separately. Thank you, Karthikeya. And we will
Thank
be
you.
having webinars on energy storage. This is a webinar series, so we will be covering more sometimes next week with few more experts. And we appreciate your time. And thank you very much, participants, for your precious time with us. I'm sure that we are contributing a good time to enhance your knowledge, and we believe that sharing is good, and with sharing of our experiences, you will be able to take better decisions for your requirements. Thank you, participants, for your encouraging numbers over here. Now we end this webinar. Thank you, Karthikeya.
Thank you, everyone.